quiet on the farm. Farmer Brown and his wife, Mrs. Brown, lived on a farm outside the city. They had lived there for a very long time. Usually after their chores, they ate supper. But not today. They were on their way to the train station to pick up their grandsons, Jimmy and Timmy. Jimmy and Timmy lived in a big, noisy city. They were excited about spending a week on the farm with their grandparents. Jimmy and Timmy's parents had told them how peaceful and quiet the farm could be, and both boys were looking forward to having lots of fun. Farmer Brown and Mrs. Brown saw the train pull into the station. Jimmy and Timmy were the first ones off the train, yelling and squealing as they ran toward their grandparents. Both boys gave their grandparents a big hug. After they collected their suitcases, they headed out to the farm. On the way, the boys saw a huge machine that looked like it was tearing up the crops. Farmer Brown explained that this was a thrasher and that it was used to harvest the crops. Farmer Brown turned onto the lane that went up to the farmhouse. About halfway there, Blackie came running out to meet them. Blackie was Farmer Brown's big yellow dog, and he followed them all the way to the house. When Blackie first came to the farm, he was totally covered in mud, and no one could get close enough to give him a bath. After a few weeks, Blackie got a bath, and everyone realized that he was actually yellow and not black after all. But by then, it was too late to change his name. Blackie barked and wagged his tail. He was excited to see the boys. Mrs. Brown went into the kitchen and started to prepare dinner. Jimmy and Timmy helped her set out the plates and silverware. After dinner, the boys were tired, so everyone went to bed. The next morning, bright and early, Mr. Rooster crowed. So that Farmer Brown would know that it was time to get up and start the chores. Farmer Brown went into the bathroom and washed his face and brushed his teeth. Next, he got dressed and went outside to start his chores. First, he went to the barn to milk the cows. They were glad to see him, and all of them at once. While Farmer Brown was milking the cows, Mrs. Brown went out to feed the chickens and gather eggs. Mrs. Brown called loudly, "Here, chickens!" as she scattered seed. The chickens came running and loudly for their breakfast. While Mrs. Brown was making breakfast, Farmer Brown went to feed the pigs. He called, "Here, sir, come and get it." The pigs made a horrible racket as they gobbled up their food. Since it wasn't quite time for breakfast, Farmer Brown decided to turn on the tractor and plow under the old garden to get it ready to be replanted. After a short time, Mrs. Brown rang the dinner bell to let Farmer Brown know that breakfast was ready. Back he came on the tractor. As Farmer Brown entered the kitchen, the grandfather clock struck 7 a.m. As he sat down at the table, he noticed that Jimmy and Timmy were coming to the table yawning and rubbing their eyes. "What's the matter, boys? Didn't you sleep well?" Farmer Brown asked. Both boys talked at once. First there was this clanging noise. Then a funny chirping. And strange thumping noise. that kept us up most of the night. Then really early this morning a new noise happened. And then what we think were some cows. Just as we figured out that the had to be cows, we heard Grandma yelling, and then we got to go to the bathroom when all of a sudden we heard roaring and the bed shook a little. But the wildest noise of all happened just as we were getting back into bed. We have never heard so much noise in all our lives. Since we couldn't sleep, we decided to come down and see if we could find something to eat for breakfast. Farmer Brown looked at his wife and asked if she had heard any of this. Mrs. Brown said no and explained that she was too busy doing chores to notice any noise. Just then, the phone rang. Farmer Brown answered it and told the boys that it was their father for them. When Jimmy and Timmy came to the phone, their father asked if they could sleep with all the peace and quiet out on the farm. Both boys looked at each other and said, "Very funny, Dad, very funny." E-I-E-I.